Sarah, grateful for the engagement. I'm deeply humbled by your message and very sorry about your brother. My mother also took her own life. It was with a gun, but the pharmaceutical fraud, the overprescribing of pills, it changed her brain chemistry. To realize that doctors were paid to put my mom in this situation, to take her own life, and to leave our planet, it bothers me at a level that's hard to describe and articulate. It's one of the thousands of things that drives me every day. And so I always try to put myself in other people's shoes, whether it's reading an autobiography of Frederick Douglass, or trying to understand the people that really marched with my father in the sanitation strike in Memphis with MLK, or if it's people that have been involved in slavery or hatred or some type of punishment. Over the last 5, 10, 20,000 years, everybody's so focused on the day-to-day action of how they're going to go through their day. What are they going to eat? Who are they going to meet? Who's going to like them? What arguments are they going to have? How are they going to get some type of income? I try to take a broader approach and perspective to life and realize that this routine that we're in, where we wake up, we eat, we go to work, we see some family, we go to sleep, this routine that just repeats every day. Sometimes I wake up and I think I'm 17 years old. And other times I'm thinking, wow, is it still the same repetitive motion? And so anything I can do to get into the mind and shoes of another American or another citizen of this earth that has struggled in some capacity, I welcome. And I would like to continue this path in the future. So in terms of that, I've done it on the environmental basis and the urban basis. The urban basis is simple. You get dropped off 45 minutes, an hour away from your house, no phone, very little clothes, maybe a jacket, jeans, and no water, no wallet, no access to be able to get those comforts. And you get in a situation where you don't know where to sleep, you don't know where to get nourishment, you don't know where to find any type of friend or direction. And you start having some real understanding of the comforts we have as American citizens. You flip a switch and water comes out. You flip another switch and waste goes. You flip another switch and you can be able to be in a car, in a supermarket with unlimited food. We are taking for granted every single thing that millions and millions of people before us have put forward, their blood, sweat, and tears, and the technological innovations, the ability for all Americans to have these comforts. And so anytime you can get out of that day-to-day routine and have a larger perspective, I think it's very healthy. And so you have to realize that there are hundreds of thousands of homeless people across our fine land, and the stats lie. There's probably closer to 240,000 vets that are homeless. There's a lot of children. There's a lot of people that have mental weaknesses, mental disabilities, like my sister. I mean, she has a weakness in the sense that she isn't able to escape instant gratification. Everything is what I can be able to enjoy now. And then she also has some learning disabilities. So the combination of that, even though there's loving family and people that want to do something about this, she doesn't want to take those steps. And this is a girl who's called 911, 50 times in a decade just to be able to get over some type of life-threatening situation living on the street. So A, I wanted to understand how my sister had gone through this. B, I wanted to understand how vets. And then I also wanted to understand how that path starts with some type of frustrated event and somebody ends up living on the street. And what's that like? And also, how does that change a person? Because if we're going to rehabilitate them, it's going to take a lot more than a clean bed and a warm meal. I mean, this is serious events that have put somebody in this place. So you take for granted where you go to sleep, first of all. So you want to provide yourself a safe environment. So is that under a freeway pass? Is that trying to be in some type of urban park? You think about when you're sleeping, like doors are closed, you feel safe, there's not these many sounds, you have a sound machine or you have a loved one next to you. You take advantage of the fact that you're in this like protected cocoon. When you're homeless, even if it's for 3, 5, 7 days that I've done, you lose that. And quickly you start getting these spurts where you're sleeping 90 minutes, 60 minutes at a time, and you're woken by the fear of somebody attacking you, telling you to leave a park bench, something of that nature. So the crankiness, the anxiety, the sleep deprivation starts kicking in. And then you have to worry about how you get water. I mean, think about how much water you go through. TB12, Tom Brady's athlete routine. I mean, they're talking about gallons and gallons a day. When you're homeless, you're trying to just get a couple sips here and there. And also, you have to realize that most water is contaminated, whether it's in any type of public situation. So if you can get into a water fountain, if you can get into a gym or a YMCA or a community center on a regular basis, then at least you have that part of your life taken care of, right? You can only live without water for a certain amount of days. Getting food is much harder. You know, luckily for me, I'm comfortable with fasting for days at a time. I feel like it really gives me a different insight, but I don't know how I would be able to find food after day 3, 4, 5. And also, I tried being the aggressor and attacking the situation, right? Going into a restaurant and saying, hey, I'm homeless, I would like to just clean up in the back, you know, a meal or something like that. People are not always forthcoming and helpful for people that are in need. There's such a anxiety or a lack of approachability from people dealing with homelessness, and it's a real shame. And after a day or two, you start smelling the dirt is accumulating. And I went out when I hadn't had a haircut in 2 months, and you know, my gray beard is everywhere, and you start looking like an aggressive figure. You're tired. You start having a different outlook in terms of your facial features and so forth, in the sense that you're not smiling, you're not happy, you're just trying to be able to get through that day. And on the environmental side, you know, I've gone into remote parts of Canada. I've gone into parts that have had destruction at a level that you can't even imagine by the drilling, frack, oil sands. And I've tried to figure out how someone would live out there. And once again, very difficult without clean water, food, even a place to sleep. The weather changes so aggressively over time. So getting back to the point, I think that many people should try it at least once to be able to give you a new perspective on the comforts we have as Americans, B, to understand how somebody's gotten in this situation, and then C is, if we're going to eliminate poverty in America, if we're going to allow all homeless to actually have a quality of life that they deserve as Americans, we must be put in those shoes. We must understand the hurdles that they go through on the entering of homelessness and also the possibility of exiting. So I don't know if I could do that with Illinois and some of those winters you have. We're in Cambridge and it's coming down pretty strong. But if you have a group, or if this is something that you'd like to pursue in 2019, 2020, send us a message in a day and I'll be there. I'd love to be able to experience that. I haven't done it in 3 or 4 years. So to 2020, to not taking our comforts as Americans for granted, and being able to allow all Americans to have upward mobility of lifestyle. Grateful.